Hey everybody, I'm Untitled Love. What I want to talk about today is what I believe is the most dangerous spiritual belief. And beliefs can be dangerous. Remember, our lives are shaped by our views, what we do, and how we act and behave, and whether we do certain things or don't do certain things. They're all informed by our beliefs and our views. So the belief I want to talk about that I think is the most dangerous spiritual belief, and I know this is not going to be comfortable for most people watching this, is the belief that we are God and God is here, or the universe or spirit, and that we are expressions of the divine, and that we are here to experience for God or the spirit or the universe to experience itself. And this belief, I don't know anybody personally who has come to this conclusion themselves. It's all been handed down, and therefore it's conditioned. So this belief says that I am the universe, and therefore everything is essentially okay, exactly the way it is. And what it can lead to is if we believe that all the negative things about life, the murder, the hatred, the anger, the depression, the sadness, the despair, and the disparity in this world, homelessness, all these things are really God wanting to experience itself in this way, and therefore there's nothing that needs to be done. So there are a couple reasons why this belief is so dangerous. First of all, it can lead us to not do our spiritual practice. It really can. And it can just lead us to only have spiritual beliefs. And while spiritual beliefs can be beneficial, they can help us to live better lives. In order to become supremely peaceful and completely enlightened, we have to do the practice. The Buddha meditated for 6 or 7 years, depends on who you listen to. I think it's six years. 29 to 35, that's right. So 6 years, all day, every day, meditating in search of the unborn, in search of complete unbinding is what it's called. Complete release from samsara, so from rebirth in this cyclic existence. We keep becoming born again and again into the cyclic existence. And a lot of times when I hear this belief, a lot of people say that I chose this existence. We can't possibly know that unless you have gotten to the deepest stage of meditation and you have had that memory yourself. And even then, our minds are fooling us all the time. So we have to be really careful, right? So having this belief can allow us to make our worldly goals more important than our spiritual goals. And it really, what it does is we go from a purely worldly materialistic view to kind of a bit of a spiritual materialistic view. And then we just, instead of watching regular television, we watch spiritual television. Or instead of maybe we take better care of ourselves, but do we really take better care of our minds? And I don't just mean on the surface, I mean on the deepest level. So it's really important that we get down to the deepest level and really discover what all the great spiritual teachers have been talking about for ourselves. We can't just follow other teachers. We need to become what they have become, realize what they have realized themselves. So become a Buddha ourselves. And the thing is, if we don't do that, do we really know what's going to happen to us in a future existence? Do we really know that? The Buddha says that it is so rare to become a human being, to be born into a human body. It's as rare as a turtle coming up to the top of the ocean once every 200 years, a blind turtle coming up to the top of the ocean once every 200 years, and there's a log floating in the ocean with a hole in it, and the log doesn't happen to disintegrate in the 200 years, which would be incredibly rare. And the one time the turtle comes up, this blind turtle, it pokes its head through the log. That's how rare it is to become a human being and to be born into this life. And it's called the precious human existence for a reason, because it is incredibly precious. We have the ability to develop discernment, to see suffering, to see the causes of suffering. And yet it takes some effort to really see it. We can look at the Four Noble Truths and realize that, yeah, craving, attachment is the source of suffering. But it's not good enough for us to just know this on the superficial level. We actually have to realize this for ourselves on the level that the Buddha realized it. It's not the same way as like somebody invents a car, they dream up a car, and then you get to drive it. Spiritual life is not like that. You have to invent and dream up your own car and invent it. You have to discover this path and walk the path and experience the fruition of the path. We have to do that for ourselves. We can't rely on another teacher. And that's what the Buddha says in the Kalama Sutta, which most people really misquote. And they say, well, what the Buddha says is that, don't believe what others think unless it matches your own common sense. But that sutta, really what he's talking about is the path, is the Noble Eightfold Path to becoming enlightened. And he says, test this path, test this path. If it does lead to peace and unbinding, then follow it. If it doesn't, then don't follow it. So it doesn't mean just go along with our preferences, because our preferences are very dangerous. Our minds are constantly moving from liking and disliking, justifying our current beliefs and creating more beliefs and views. So we have to be really careful. So the reason why I want to talk about this video is because, I think it's really important that we use this life as an opportunity to truly become peaceful forever. And we think that, that happiness is something that we can get from the world, but we really can't. Whenever you look at happiness, you'll always find that we're chasing after another experience, another relationship, another job, another baby, another anything, new clothes, even meditation experiences can be worldly. It's only when we go beyond all experience that we can truly say that we're happy. And even if our meditation practice, even if our meditation experiences are temporary and then we come back, we haven't gone all the way. Enlightenment, nibbana, is complete cessation of suffering. It's forever. It's cessation that is absolutely consummate. It's something that we don't ever go back to suffering again, and that is and should be the goal of the spiritual life. We need to just be careful that we're not falling back into hedonism and spiritual materialism and trading our more worldly supposed goals for spiritual goals, because the Buddha says that the reason why we're here is not because we're here to experience, it's not like we're this universal energy or this allness. The Buddha says even the allness is not who we are. Even the ultimate that everything is energy sort of thing, that's not who we are. Even nibbana is not to be clung to, the Buddha says, if you look at the suttas. So nirvana, enlightenment, is not even to be clung to. So the Buddha says that the reason why we're here is because of ignorance, because we don't understand that we're clinging and grasping and wanting and have these self-views that I am this or that, or I am this body, or I am this mind, or I am anything. It's only when we have the complete extinguishment of a self-view that we can actually be free. And you will know this when you meditate. You'll get tastes of it. And it's something that we have to develop. It's a skill. Enlightenment is not only a realization, but it's a skill that has to be developed over a lifetime. Just like when you play a musical instrument, you can learn a few chords, but you won't be able to, in order to become a master at anything, they say it takes 5,000 to 10,000 hours. So if you think about meditation like that, the Buddha probably meditated 5,000 to 10,000 hours to become enlightened, at least. And it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of persistence. So what I just want to share with you is this idea that we shouldn't be slack about our meditation practice. We shouldn't be slack about our spiritual practice, and not allow ourselves to settle for this is, I'm pretty happy, I'm pretty happy with my body, I'm pretty happy with my life, pretty happy with my goals, I'm pretty happy with, my house and my relationships, I'm pretty happy, it's good enough, and I got a pretty good life. The ultimate life, I believe, is this deep peace that we can have all the time and be all the time, and it will lead to the ending of rebirth. And I think that's scary for a lot of people. I think the idea of not coming back again, people, I think a lot of people find that there's value here in the world. But if you think about it in the terms of that the Buddha teaches, he says that, that we live countless lifetimes, that a beginning is not known. He asked the monks, what do you think is greater, the tears that humans have shed, or that you have shed over countless lifetimes, or the tears of the great oceans of the earth? And like, the oceans are truly unfathomable. If you've ever flown across them, you know there's so much water, it's insane. And he says that the tears that we've shed over countless lifetimes is actually greater than all the water of all the oceans. So imagine that. How many lifetimes would it take? If you could think about how many tears you've shed in your life, I doubt you could fill a bucket, one bucket. I doubt it. One bucket. It's pretty big, but or even the amount of space that your head takes up. I doubt you could fill that out with the tears that you've shed, and will shed in this lifetime. So imagine that. How many buckets does it take to fill up a bathtub? So imagine even if you did fill up one bucket with all your tears, that would be very, very liberal and generous. How many buckets would it take just to fill up a bathtub? So it would probably take about 10 or 15 buckets just to fill up a bathtub. How many bathtubs do you think it would take to fill up a lake? Wow, like insane. Thousands and millions of bathtubs, if not billions of bathtubs to fill up a lake. And then imagine how many lakes it would take to fill up an ocean. It'd be billions, if not trillions of lakes to fill up an ocean. Just think about how much suffering that is. I'm not saying that life is all bad and we shouldn't focus on, thinking that life is all bad. However, it's definitely not all good. And if you think about all the suffering in your life, if you look back and you see, do you really want to do that again? And seeing that true peace and happiness is really quite fleeting if we actually look at our experience, we look at our day to day and really look and actually take the time to sense and feel the kind of stress we're feeling on a daily life, and how much desire we have and how much dissatisfactoriness. It takes some effort in order to even see it, because if we don't take the time and look, we might think that on the surface, hey, I'm a pretty happy person. But if you look inside, you'll notice that there's this constant yearning for something else. It wants to be with somebody else. It wants to be doing something else. It wants to be busy. It wants to change our environment or our bodies or our employment. It wants to change. It just always wants to change something or be somewhere else. Or if life is too busy, it wants to be alone. And then if you're alone, you want to be with other people. It's just always dissatisfied, this mind. If you really look at it, you'll find that. So it's just a note of encouragement. I know, like I said, this is not going to be very popular. I know a lot of people are not going to like this, and that's okay. But just consider, your life. What's the most important thing to you? The reason why I'm sharing this is for some extra fortitude for myself. I make all my videos just because it's just what I feel like talking about at the time, and they're always for myself. They're always for me. I get to share them with the world, and some people like them, some people don't. But this is really for me. If it makes sense to you, take the wisdom here. Throw out what doesn't make sense, but don't just throw it out. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Like the Buddha says, investigate it. Don't just go along with your likes and dislikes. Don't say, well, this doesn't resonate with me. Well, why doesn't it resonate with you? If it doesn't resonate with you, is it because it doesn't match my liking? Is that the case? Or is it creating a aversion in me? So why is it not true? Why does it not make sense? Think about the reason for that. Or even if it does make sense, if you're resonating with it, if you're saying yes, well, look at that as well. Maybe it's just because it's agreeing with your liking. So the middle way is really between liking and disliking. It's between worldly pleasures and complete asceticism, and it's really between happiness and sadness. Real peace is not stirred ever. The peace of Nibbana is never stirred. It can't be stirred. But it's not our birthright. Everybody, a lot of people think it's our birthright to become enlightened, and we're eventually going to somehow evolve and to become enlightened. It's not going to happen like that. We do have to work at it. Just like if you want to become a great musician, you got to work at it. And great musicians know that there's always something new to learn. So even after the 10,000 hours of practicing and you become a virtuoso, great musicians know that they're never quite there. However, nirvana, enlightenment, nibbana is an achievable goal, I would say. It has been achieved by many humans. The Buddha and many humans, many monks have become arhats since the Buddha's time, and we too can experience and know and realize this ultimate peace. That's what I want for you. That's what I want for me. So just a little note of encouragement. If you don't like the video, that's okay. If you don't like the message, that's okay. But I love you, and I just wanted to share this. I hope it's useful and helpful, and I hope at least it helps you reflect a little bit on your life and to think, well, what's really important and what am I really doing with my life? That's what I'm doing right now. That's really made a big shift, and I'm going to keep sharing. I hope you enjoy it. I love you. You have a wonderful day.